Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I am going to talk about star 2, and specifically in periods 9, 1, and 2. Now all masters that I've ever read agree that star 2 is timely in a flying star chart in periods 9, 1, and 2. And instead of being an illness star, which it typically is, it becomes a wealth star. So that's pretty important if the masters are right, and I think that they are. Now, at present, and this is period 9, star 2 is a future wealth star. So you're not going to see the effects. If you are able to activate it, you don't see the effects immediately, but it helps you in the future. And exactly how much time that is, it's a bit vague, but you may be talking 6 months to a year when you may have a new opportunity come up, or maybe it comes up sooner, but there won't be anything that comes out of it for a year or more. Now, star 2 will be the strongest wealth star in period 2. It is always the current period star that is the strongest wealth star. So we're in period 9. So 9 in period 9 is the strongest wealth star. And 1 is future wealth, and 2 is even farther future wealth. Now, some, but not all masters say that the star 2 as an annual star is still an illness star. They haven't really said too much about the purple-white chart, um, but that since the annual star is part of the purple-white, you would think the same thing applies. But they haven't said anything, so it's a little vague. Now, unfortunately, star 2 is in the same sector of at least one of the annual afflictions until 2029. Next year, it's in the center where there is no annual affliction, but when you activate the center, you activate the entire house. So that is, and that will include all the sectors that have annual afflictions. So it's not very easily testable even next year, that is 2025. So right now, this year for certain, we can't tell if you try to activate star 2 and an illness happens. We don't know for sure whether that was the activation of the star 2 or the activation of an annual affliction. So we simply can't tell because they're both in the same place. In fact, this year, 2024, star 2 has 2 annual afflictions in its sector. So definitely do not try to activate it this year. So that means basically until we reach 2029, we're not going to be able to very definitively answer the question of which school is correct. And by that, some think star 2 is an annual star is still an illness star, others think it is not. But that is still 5 years away, so it's quite a while before we'll know for sure. I am of the school, I believe the school who says that star 2 anywhere is timely, including in the annual chart. And that means it's not an illness star anymore. It becomes a wealth star anywhere. And the reason why I say that is if you look at even the strictest definition of what is timely, which would be the current period and the 2 that come in the future, those, so in period 9, it's period 1, it's star 1, 2, and 3. They all say, even the strictest ones say that those stars are timely. The 4, the 6, and the 8 are generally considered timely by many people, but in the very strictest ones, they say they're not, in period 9, of course. So, but they do seem to, the 4, 6, 8, and usually 1 is included in that group, but even they say it's not entirely clear. They tend to bring out the good side regardless. And so many practitioners say those stars are good basically any period. Now, unfortunately, like I said, the annual star 2 is not highly useful until 2029, And when that happens, it can be activated with fire safely. So in period 9, again, star 2 is for future wealth. So even if you're able to activate it, the effects will not be immediately observable. But if it is still an illness star, then and you activate it, then yes, you will know it soon after. But of course, we have to take more than just one or two people's experience with this, because you can become ill at any time if you happen to run into the wrong germ. So we have to look at this as a group, whether or not this happens. But again, it's not going to happen this year because it's too dangerous to activate it. Now, you can be in the sector with star 2. This year, star 2 has 2 different annual afflictions in its sector. So this year, I would not activate star 2. You can manifest there. You can always manifest, because that's not an activating activity, because you just sit there. But you don't want to do anything else, really. You can work quietly, but it's best if you simply only manifest there, at least this year. And but you still won't see any results in terms of money for several years, because star 2 is a future wealth star. Now, when practical, I will be testing this out myself, and that will probably be next year. So star 2 will be in the center. And that year it is clear of annual afflictions. The only time the center sector gets an annual affliction is when star 5 is there. That is the annual star 5. And that is not, that doesn't happen for quite a few years. But the problem is, when you activate that center star, it's going to activate all sectors. So that means you would be activating all of your annual afflictions. So outside of the sun and moon arrival dates for your particular residence, it's dangerous to activate. However, during that 2-week period, this is how I will be testing it out in 2025, is to activate it with just a salt lamp. You could also use candle in the salt lamp, but for me, I'm going to stick with the salt lamp simply because I think it's easier. Now, again, until 2029, we really have a hard time truly testing the timeliness of star 2, but you can still work in that sector depending on what type of annual affliction is there. This year, it's, I think, too dangerous, but the other years, it's not quite as bad. And of course, next year, 2025, it's clear, but it's in the center, which is a problem in terms of being able to activate it all the time. So what do I mean by working quietly? That means no music playing, and not even on your headphones, because, unless it's low enough that nobody else can hear it. And it also means no rearranging of large furniture or exercising any kind of excessive movement. A chair can be moved in and out of, to sit down. That is part of a normal amount of movement, and that doesn't activate. But moving the desk or the the table or the desk would be. And if you got any other big furniture in there, it would be. Anything that requires 2 people to move definitely is considered too large to move. If you have your cell phone with you, turn off its ringer and even turn off the vibration, because if it's sitting on a table, it tends to be kind of loud when it vibrates. You can have the phone beside you, and it will light up when a phone call comes in, so you are able to get phone calls. So you also, of course, don't want to do any prolonged talking or loud talking in this sector. So if you have to take or make a call, it's best to leave that room and go to a sector that's free of an annual affliction. Uh, because if this is especially involved with work, sometimes it's a quite long call. Sometimes it's short. Sometimes you get angry. So you want to be careful um, not to activate it by too much talking. But the very key is no elemental activation. The star 2 would need fire, and fire is very activating and therefore very dangerous if there's any annual affliction that can be activated by the element. So that is this is why I'm really careful about using a candle to activate too, even in 2025. I think it's a little safer just to have a salt lamp. And that's during the sun and moon arrival dates, which are only about 2 weeks. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please feel free to either leave a comment or contact me here if you have any questions. Thank you again for watching.